Ba-da-ba! One take. Hi, I'm Weston. I love talking about the Jets. I don't really know at this point. I sure do talk about them a lot. Anyway, it's week 9? Week 9. Jets lose 27-6, if I'm not mistaken. 27-6. There it is. I see it on the screen right now. To the Los Angeles Chargers. They fall to 4-4 on the season. And that was a game that happened. Wow, man. Wow, that's just an incredible feat to lose that game in such embarrassing fashion. I mean, that's the thing, you know, if you lose that game by a couple points, that's a different story. But wow, like, embarrassing fashion. And I'm sure that you're expecting me to get on here and rip apart Zach Wilson. And I'm going to start with that. Zach Wilson did not play well. But that is where it ends. That's where it ends. I can't. Look, Zach Wilson did not play a very good game of football. Fumbled the ball a couple times. That's not great. Here's the thing. I am so incredibly done with complaining about Zach Wilson. I'm really done complaining about any player. I'm not going to get mad at any of the offensive linemen who got turnstiled tonight by, God, you take your pick, but especially like Joey Bosa. I'm not mad at the offensive line for looking like garbage. I'm not mad at receivers for dropping balls constantly. How many of those? I think he threw 49 passes. I think he completed 33 of them. I don't even care about how many of the 16 were actually just drops. It's irrelevant to me, to be quite honest. I'm not mad at the players. Or even the players that took costly penalties or anything like that. Guys, this is so much more than a player. There is not a scapegoat. This is the offensive coaching staff and the head coach. This is Saleh, this is Hackett, this is all those guys. We are done here. Even to an extent, some guys on defense, right? Only on the penalty thing, right? Defense played great. Easily Sauce Gardner's best game of the season. He looked like himself again. He looked phenomenal, man. Just Sauce Gardner. In what was a bad year for Sauce Gardner, he still was looking fantastic to this point. But wow, just really, really not good game for the Jets, right? A phenomenal game for Sauce Gardner. That's where I was going with that sentence. But then I just see numbers for the Jets on the screen because it's still on the game. It's just the aftermath. I didn't turn it off. The game ended and I immediately walked over here and pressed record because you just got to get it out there. I'm mad at the coaching staff because this is the 8th week of the season. You lost Aaron Rodgers on play number 4. So one might take from that, there has been time to adjust. And they haven't. They haven't. This is no longer... I'm not mad at players anymore. I don't care about the players. I don't care how many times Allen Lazard dropped the ball. I don't care how many times Zach Wilson fumbled. I don't care. Because this is the coaching staff, for some reason, having their heads shoved up through their stomach. Like, how? This is the 8th week that they have continued with the same square pegs trying to beat them through a round hole, and they can't. You lose your starting quarterback in Aaron Rodgers on play number 4. Your backup is playing. Zach Wilson is a backup quarterback. They established that fact because before the season started, they traded for a 40-year-old. They have established that Zach Wilson is the backup. Why on God's earth are you making a backup quarterback throw 50 passes with a makeshift offensive line? Why is that the game call? The running game looked pretty solid. Why are you making him do that? Why are you not calling easy checkdowns and making plays have to develop with an offensive line that is getting killed all night and making him have to hold on to the ball? Why are you not just quick throwing it? Right? They are not allowing themselves to do anything. They are handcuffing themselves because of play calling, because they'll call a screen and it works. The Garrett Wilson screen, he gained 17 yards. Yeah, he fumbled. I don't care. I would have called that 15 more times in this game. You call screen passes for Brees. You give the players, and that's the thing. Every week there will be one of those plays, or maybe there will be a screen pass where they get the ball in the hands of Brees or Wilson or Lazard or anybody, and they'll go for 20 yards. They'll go for 30 yards. And that's the only time they'll call it in the game. That's it. That's the one time they'll call that screen pass, and it'll pick up 40 yards. Did he roll out once tonight? Your offensive line is made up of gum and like painter's tape holding it together. Did he roll out of the pocket once? Was there a singular play action pass that they called? Your offensive line was getting eaten alive. And every time, no, just stay in the pocket, Zach. Just stay in the pocket. Like, play calling is horrendous. And then there's the penalties. How many times was there a good play? Nope. Not a good play because it's coming back plus 15 more yards because there's some stupid holding call or a block in the back or a hands to the face or a this, or they're just so cripplingly undisciplined. And if you can cut back those penalties, I'm not saying you win, but it's a hell of a lot closer than this. How many of those penalties just completely killed drives? How many? How many 15-yard gains were called back and turned into 10-yard losses? They are so undisciplined. I would be upset if they were playing like this, and I was upset when they were playing this undisciplined in week 2 and week 3. It's week 9, guys. How are these things still happening? How is this still happening? And then you have the drops, right? And that still, in my opinion, that leads into the undisciplined. And it's not undisciplined play. It's undisciplinary? Yeah, that's the word. Undisciplinary coaching staff. You have guys, the same guys, that are dropping passes. How? How are you not just... I don't mean physically beating it into them, because obviously I would not condone doing anything of that sort. That's not what I mean by it. But metaphorically, just beating it into guys. How is that not the focus of every practice? Is just, at this point, because clearly you need it, the fundamentals on how to catch a freaking football. I'm done being upset at players, and this is coaching. This is absolutely coaching. Hackett, I want to like him because he seems like a likable person. Saleh seems like a very likable person. But, dude, Hackett seemingly, right, he can't call games. And Saleh just, he's not holding people accountable. And one of those people that has to be held accountable is especially Nathaniel Hackett. Right? Because you're not putting your players with that play calling in a position to succeed. Because once a game, right, you'll call that super unusual screen pass or a creative jet sweep or some play like that, and it works really well, and then they don't call it again. Or you'll get to, last week it was the final drive with like 13 seconds left against the Giants that you somehow managed to go downfield and score. Like, keep the offense high tempo. Zach Wilson does not, in my opinion, if I were to analyze it, he can't think through the plays. When it's just guttural, almost an animalistic instinct of what to do, he looks great. When it's just reaction, he looks good. But then when he sits there for more than like 2 seconds and has to think about it, it sack or falls apart or throws an interception or gets stripped or makes a bad throw. And you're, again, 9 weeks into this and you haven't corrected it. And I know I've said it a lot. I know I've been very derivative when I continue to say this is a coaching thing, but it is. How can I sit here and complain at players when the coaches aren't doing a damn thing to help them. You play the Raiders next week. I thought the Chargers game was winnable. I really did. I thought they were going to win this game. Now you play the Raiders, who have been seemingly re-energized since firing their head coach. They looked great yesterday. I don't know. I really don't know. But I'll be here afterwards to talk about that game. So until then, thank you all so very much for watching. Hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. If you did like this video, by the way, maybe subscribe. Maybe just make me feel a little bit better. Maybe like the video too. You know, just try to ease the pain a little bit. But I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and as always, somehow, go Jets.